Over to you, Margarita.
Tortola quisiera las mujeres, vamos a cantar a la naturaleza. Si la tortola quisiera tortola, si la tortola quisiera tortola, ay hacer un trato conmigo. Ay, hacer un trato conmigo. Ay, yo le regalaré el nido. Ay, yo le regalaré el nido. Yo le regalaré el nido. Y ella me daría su huevo. Y ella me daría su huevo. Ay, vuela tortolita. Ay, vuela tortolita. Ay, con tu pluma, bebé. Tortola.
Saludo desde Ubuntu. Greetings from Ubuntu in Colombia. Thank you everyone for joining us.
That was beautiful, very lovely. Thank you, Margarita. Thank you. I don't know how many people are, who exactly are there, but thanks to the whole community who were there. And welcome everyone to the Harvesting Circle of the from Ubuntu to Kapwa project. And I believe that a lot of our friends are still on the way to join us, but we're in respect of everyone's time, we're gonna begin. Please feel free to drop a line in the chat just to say hi and tell us where you're from, what you do. You can include any piece of information about yourself that you would like to introduce. And I see that we have here also a lot of different people who have been connected to this project, and you'll hear about us and about the different pieces of the puzzle of the project a bit later on. And today we'll take you through a process that is also the process that we have been nurturing in this project, starting with listening to honoring, to dreaming, offering, learning, and celebrating. So with that, I would love to invite everyone to start by listening. And with listening, it's a very short activity for us to attune together to really arrive to this space as well. So I invite you to just find a really comfortable sitting position. If you're holding something on your hand, if you're on your phone, you can just drop it down for a moment. You don't need to look at the screen right now. And you can adjust your sitting posture so that your spine is up straight, and just relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your hands, your arms, your legs. And then if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes for a bit. If you don't feel comfortable to do that, you can just soften your gaze so your eyes get a little bit of rest. And then start to notice your breath. Notice the quality of your breath. Are you arriving in a rush and still breathing fast? Or are you in a state of calmness and your breath is really deep and slow? Just notice that. And just simply by paying attention to your breath, you'll naturally become a bit more grounded. Your breath will get a bit calmer and slower. Breathing in, feel this fresh air coming through your nostril, filling your lungs, your whole body. And breathing out, relaxing. Relax any tension that might have accumulated in your body. Keep breathing in, scanning your body. How does it feel right now? And breathing out, relax. And I invite you to this point, start to bring your mind to the last food or drink that you've had before coming here. Might be just recent, it might be a while ago. Maybe the taste of that food or drink is still lingering on your tongue. Just start bringing your awareness and attention to that, the food or the drink that you last had that was entering your body and now is the part of your system. Picturing the image of that food or drink and be aware of how it come from the earth, who brought it to you, who was a part of its growing, manufacturing, and how from all of that effort and energies of the earth, it's now become a part of your body, nurturing you in one way or another, fueling you with the energy of life. Let's just take a moment to pay some gratitude to that, to the fact that you have been given the nutritions and the energy from the food or the drink that you had. And sense into that feeling of your body was was generously nourished. And get into also this sense of how this food or drink that you had is exactly what connects you to the much bigger ecosystem of life, of the grower, of the food producer. And stay with that for one more breath, breathing in and out. And once you're ready, you can start to come back to the sensations of your body, how you're feeling, what you're hearing, smelling, sensations on your skin. And then I invite you before coming back to the circle on Zoom, let's rub your hands together, make it really, really warm. And then apply that warmth from your hands to your eyes and your face. Give yourself a bit of a face massage or neck massage, whatever you feel like you're needing at this moment. And then with a smile, let's come back to the circle. You can open your camera if you want to, and then just Greet everyone in this Zoom room with your lovely smile. Welcome. And with that, now that we have arrived, I introduce you to my colleague, Sunita, who will take us to the next part.
Thank you, Kin. And once again, welcome everyone. So, yeah, I would like to share a bit about this project and the journey we've been on. And here we have in the room also representatives from Gaia Education, and also from the Global Eco-Village movement. And this is the inspiration, the original inspiration of from Ubuntu to Kapwa. And that inspiration kind of bridged over to COVSAR, so the Food System Alliance, and into the incubator project we are currently finalizing, and deeply happy to share that the harvest of the journey we've been on today with you. So the Eco-Village movement and Gaia Education built a curriculum, and this curriculum has been called the Eco-Village Design Education. And some of us have been teaching and learning and building on that curriculum, mostly in the Global South. And so we had the vision to inspire from our traditions and indigenous knowledge systems from the Global South, inspiring the future into the world, but more, these reversed blessings from the South to the South, but also to the North. And so that has been more the inspiration, so the vision of this project. And three projects came together from the Philippines, Cameroon, and Colombia to build those bridges and to learn from each other. And so this has been inspired from different approaches that we've been implementing through this design and the Eco-Village design education platforms around food systems, and bringing that more into our conscious being and how we embody food in our cultures. And for example, that has come from simple practices of eating together. So we usually have the practice of the family that eats together stays together. So that is, for example, one very concrete aspect, but also seed sharing practices. And we've come into this project more into building like a design framework that could be implemented and rolled out in different places, such that those indigenous practices could be shared in different communities. I think in that design process, we battled a little bit with what is numbers and what is consciousness, so putting numbers to things and embodying processes, embodying food, and embodying the act of growing food and nourishing our bodies. And so maybe more or less that we would communicate how the attention comes through in our harvest. But I also want to acknowledge that we have in that process with these three different institutions. So from the Philippines with the Living Stories Landscape and Better World Cameroon, and from Colombia with Ubuntu Center, working together with the indigenous communities and together in partnership with COPSAR and Gaia Education, and most importantly, with indigenous wisdom keepers, harvesting the knowledge from the grassroots and bringing that into this space, and saying that actually that the knowledge and all that we're sharing today, it's really the gift that has come. So it's actually blessing and celebrating the work of all the people and the layers that have come on top of this. So really coming from the ground, from the indigenous communities, and celebrating the gift of what they've blessed us with. And Sarah would share later what we have harvested from this process. And I would like to, because I think from the Eco-Village movement and Gaia Education, we sing a song mostly to give blessing to that process. And as I open and give a bit of an overview of this project, to sing a song that actually blesses all the people that have gifted this process. Ahe kerunene keranio keruna. Ahe kerunene keranio keruna. Keranio weya heya heya hey. Ahe keruna. And yeah, I hope that with this you feel even more grounded, with a little bit of insight about this project. And I think that when you would see the sharing also from Margarita later on and from Sarah, who have been helping to hold this project, you would understand also more the pieces of how the vision unfolded into the actual practices on the ground in the communities. So over to you, Margarita.
Thank you very much, Sonita. I'm having a cold, so my voice is kind of, I hope is not too bad to continue sharing. And we are going to share that one of the challenges that we have as well is to share processes that are very, very deep into the land, practices as rituals, but then also share it things that we do normally on site, how to embrace it virtually, how to share this in a Zoom, how to feel connected, and how to attune with what we are harvesting as such an important thing as rituals in our communities. So we are going to start here, and then I will travel through our South friends. Let me introduce Abuela Daira. She was also in the opening of this space. She is the leader of many processes inside Colombia. She is in situation of displacement. So she told me very clearly, I'm not a displaced person. I'm in a situation of displacement. No, and here we talk, for example, a lot that there are not slave people or people who were slaves. There were people who were how you call it, esclavizados, no, who went into slavery. So just this type of wording is also part of our harvesting, no? How we start decolonizing the language that we're using, how we are describing the situations, our adjectives that we give to ourselves. So Abuela Daira has been a teacher, a master to many people in these regards. She had a company, ¿cuántas tesis? 27 theses of universities talking about ancestrality or, well, different subjects. And she is a singer, she harvests, she's a wisdom keeper, and we feel very proud to have her in our journey of Ubuntu-Kapwa. So she will guide us into the initial states of the ceremony. Abuela.
Ponemos nuestra intención al universo.
Let's put our intention into the universe.
A nuestras deidades.
Our deities.
Para que nos acompañen en este espacio.
to be with us in this space
de la naturaleza.
of the nature.
Es una ofrenda
This is an offer
que hemos hecho con amor
that we made with love
para festejar,
to celebrate, to recreate,
para vivirlo,
to live
para
it,
sentirlo,
to feel it,
para libertarnos. Porque hemos estado esclavizados
to give freedom to us because many of us have been in slavery.
del sur,
And from the south,
Colombia,
from Colombia,
abrimos nuestros corazones,
we
para la
open our
libertad,
hearts for freedom,
unidos a nuestras deidades, Olofin, a nuestras deidades, Atalá,
to Olofin, to Obatala, part of our deities,
a Olorum,
Olorum,
el mismo Jesús,
that is related with Jesus,
a Elegua,
to Elewa,
a Ogún,
Ogun,
a Yemaya y Changó,
Demanja Chango,
también a Ochun,
Ochun,
madre de la sabiduría del amor,
the mother of the wisdom of love,
que nos irradie con su aceite poderoso,
that gives us its powerful oils,
en presencia del fuego,
in presence of the fire,
que nos calienta, que nos abriga, da su fuerza.
that takes care of us, that gives force, strength.
Gracias a las hermanas, al hermano Ever que nos acompaña,
Thank you to our
Margarita,
sisters, to our brothers,
Merún, que nos acompaña, otro, ah, Filipina,
to our sisters in Philippines,
y a
in
todas las
Cameroon,
personas que integran
and all the people that are
todos los
participating and
espacios
integrating these
en el
spaces
mundo.
in the world.
Estamos hermanados,
We are sisters and
estamos
brothers,
articulados,
brotherhood and
ya
articulated,
no más separación.
no more separation.
Estamos juntos y juntas para seguir construyendo caminos de dignidad,
We are together to continue building paths of dignity
unidos a nuestras niñas, niños, abuelos, abuelas,
with our children, our grandfathers, and
hombres,
grandmothers,
todos en una sola voz,
women, men,
en un solo corazón.
in one voice, in one heart.
Y también a nuestra madre mayor,
To our big
la
mother,
madre Ochun, madre del amor, que nos acompañe siempre. A nuestra madre Yemayá, que nos abrigue con sus aguas, que nos cubra todos los días y que nos limpie.
to Jemanja, the mother of the water, that cover us, that help us clean us.
Y a nuestro Padre el Eguá en este día para que abra todas las puertas
And Elewa to open all the doors
de las buenas obras, de los buenos
of the
pensamientos,
good actions, the good thoughts,
que nos guíe, que nos abra los 24 caminos.
to open the 24 paths.
A el Eguá cantamos.
We sing to Elewa.
Ábrenos la puerta, Padre Legua, que vamos a entrar, Padre Legua. Ábrenos la puerta, Padre Legua, que vamos a entrar, Padre Legua. Después que entremos, Padre Legua, vuelve a cerrar, Padre Legua. Y después que entremos, Padre Legua, vuelve a cerrar, Padre Legua. Ae, 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 ae.
Thank you very much. And I pass the word to Cameroon, I think. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once more. I am presenting Better World Cameroon on one of our indigenous concepts, the spirit of Ndanifo. NDPA. Yeah. Colombia. Yeah. I hear you NDP. I hear you Colombia. I hear you Philippines. I hear you the world and our entire guests. What I have to demonstrate comes from the concept of the spirit of Danifo. The spirit of Danifo is a concept which indigenous people in the Baboon community practice through collaboration, unity to empower ourselves. I will be demonstrating on the strength behind unity. I have this. I'm seeing you. I'm observing. It's easy for me to break this into pieces. It's easy for me to break these brooms into pieces. Why? Because they are one. But having a bunch of brooms like this, it's difficult to demonstrate the importance of unity, the importance of coming together. When we are united, we have the strength to conquer challenges, to overcome crises, to face whatever confrontation the world has for us. But as long as we remain like a single group, crises will keep on destroying the world. Challenges, difficulties, and so many others. Here, I want to pass this message on to the world. Let the world be united. Let the world come together and collaborate. Just as I have this. Using this, it's difficult for me to clean up this mess. It's difficult for the mess to be cleaned up. Having this broom as a bunch, my cleaning process is facilitated. My cleaning process is more easier. Why? Because of many hands, unity, collaboration, many hands do lighter work. There are things that unless the world unites and come together strength to come together in unity, because unity is strength. Unity is power. Collaboration is power. This is a call to the world that keep aside your differences, racism, nationality, or whatsoever you want to. Come together as this bunch of group. Let us be united. Let us stand together to work together as one to make the world a better place. Let peace reign in the world. Let peace reign in whatsoever thing we do. Without peace, nothing is possible. The world needs peace. Let us bring peace. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Prudence. That's such a powerful sharing. And this is how our ceremonies are woven between our worlds, between Cameroon and Colombia. And now we give the word to Sarah and the Philippines and our friends from Genoa to harvest and share and wave in this ceremony.
Hello, everyone. Magandang gabi from the Philippines. I'm going to share, we're going to share the same halad offering done by a Babaylan, colonial ritualist, healer. And last time when we did the opening, the sound wasn't so good. So because I was speaking while she was speaking, so I'd rather type the translation so you can actually feel the ceremony. It's called halad to explain. It's an offering of food to the creator, the nature spirits, the spirit guides and ancestors. And it practiced across the Philippines in different forms. So I'm going to share.
Manang tubig nun, magandang gabi po sa inyo. Kami po ay narito upang idalangin ang kapayapaan, kasaganahan at pagkakasundo-sundo sa sanlibutan. Dinalangin din po namin ang mga taong nagugutom. Nawa po sila ay mayroong makain. At ang mga taong nangangailangan ng inyong tulong, nawa po ito ay makarating ng madalian. Nawa po ay patuloy ang pagliwanag sa bawat puso at isipan ng bawat tao upang sa loob nito ay makita kayo at magkahari ang pagmamahalan sa bawat isa sa amin. Humingi po kami ng kapatawaran sa aming mga mortal na kasalanan. Nawa po kami ay inyong linisin. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyong walang sawang pagmamahal na aming natatanggap sa bawat segundo ng aming buhay. Salamat din po sa inyong mga biyayang espiritual na aming natututunan kasama ng aming mga kapatid dito sa lupa. Humihingi po kami ng inyong patuloy na proteksyon, patnubay at gabay sa aming mga buhay. Ganon din po ang inyong gabay at patnubay para sa gawain ng Ubuntu-Kapwa. Nawa po ay ito inyong samahan upang maging maayos ang pagdaloy nito at ganun din po nawa ay maging umpisa ito upang mabalikan namin ang inyong mga itinuro na gawain dito sa lupa. Maraming salamat po muli sa inyong pagdinig sa aming mga dalangin. Amen. Ang halad ay isang mahalagang gawain ng ilan sa ating mga ninuno. Isa ito sa pinakasimpleng paraan upang humingi ng tulong at magbigay ng pasasalamat. Maingat at malaking pagpapahalaga ang ibinibigay sa pag-aasikaso ng mga handog. Makikita sa mga pagkain ang mga simbolo ng mga nais mapalapit at maimbitahan ng mga taglay. Madalas itong ginagawa bago magtanim at bago ang anihan. Isang paraan upang ipamalas na tayo ay may pag-alaala, pagpapahalaga at paggalang sa ating kapaligiran at pinatitibay ang ugnayan natin sa mga ito. Ang gawaing ito ay nakatutulong upang magkaroon ng masaganang ani na hindi kailangan ng mga karagdagang pataba at mga pamatay insekto sapagkat ito ay nagamot na. Isang pamanang kaalaman na itinuro at ibinahagi mula pa sa ating mga ninunuan na halos karamihan sa atin ay tuluyan ng nakalimutan at iniwan. Marahil panahon na nga ito ay balikan at pahalagahang muli sapagkat may kalakihan na ang pagbabago ng tunog ng ating kalikasan.
Sorry, I realized that if I type on the screen, I couldn't share the screen. So you will read more about it anyway through our case studies. So I will skip the part of explaining to just manage the time. I hope that we felt the spirit of the Philippines through Janet's words and prayer. All right, over to you, Margarita, to close the opening.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And I want to give the word to our dear Konkanko. Actually, all this unfolding of the vision was facilitated by Sarah and Konkanko and all of us at certain points. But I think really was from them to put all the power and the strength and the connection and the network in service to this vision. So sorry for the noise because they are translating to Spanish as well. So our people can understand what we're sharing. That's one of our challenges and our beauties, to embrace this diversity that we have. And I give the word to our dear Konkanko.
Well, since the world had been divided into poles and we have learned to live in our silos, we are conditioned by what is called education. There comes a time and the crisis we are living in inform us or remind us that we are one people and we are trying to catch up with thousands of years of what some people refer to as learning or bringing up, which is based on oral traditions and a type of structure that has ruled the world up to now, using words like scaling up. This is one thing I want to bring, the difficulties that we have communicating with each other. The difficulty that we have understanding what is the place of elders in ceremonies of transitioning young people into adulthood in a responsible way to become custodians. How do we hand down the knowledge that had made the people resilient with all the things that people in the global south have gone through? So this was an experiment thanks to COFSA, to find out just exactly how we begin to heal these relationships around food. And what we bring as indigenous people is a question actually about what is intellectual property for this harvesting. The elders would advise that before you use knowledge that is handed down, you need permission, and the elders need to understand in what way the data will be used or shared, and that indigenous entrepreneurs have a name from quality apprenticeships, how young people grow up on the land. The elders would inform that education, as it's called, that is not based around food leads to violence. It's been demonstrated time and again within all the communities that food is the love economy that builds people to transcend in this period into oneness. Talking about Cameroon, I heard Ndani 4 stories informing how people can take nature-based solutions and heal. This is maybe a concept of food as medicine. I think it's time maybe the people present here of all the concepts that we have applied. How can we bridge interculturally and intergenerationally? There I come back to the role of elders, because elders have always guided because of their experience and because they believe that all people in indigenous, be it, I know when we talk of indigenous, many people have never really thought of Africa. Mostly it's about Native North Americans or Australians. But this project has proven that there are many, many, many pockets of indigenous wisdom that can inform the way that we transition to a resilient people worldwide who have respect for other people. And I think the most thing that occurred to me is that even though people are being recognized, there are still these disparities. What language, what technology is appropriate? I'm so glad that this harvesting is going to inform the UNDP and other organizations and even companies where the resources that reside in the North wouldn't be used just for extraction, but also to imagine what is going on in these specific projects, which are coming out of conflict-stricken zones. And if we were going to give it a price tag to indigenous knowledge, what would that be? To who would it go to? Because all the mechanisms that have existed, for example, UNDP, all the international development agencies work with governments. And most of the time, when we hear about indigenous people, it's some elites that met at COP and maybe formed an association and started talking in the voice of indigenous people. So this is my outcry that there exist the elders of people who speak for them, and that we would use this knowledge learned here to address the collaborations with the right people. We know, for example, in Africa, all the governments trample on the indigenous people's rights, no right to self-determination. We know that the international development agencies work only with government, and that indigenous people have no right. And the people who are actually the custodians of this wisdom do not have the language, nor the infrastructure, nor the technology to contribute to this regenerative way of doing business. So this is just a step, and hopefully those who are listening could make sure that there is a pool of resources available for indigenous people to create leaders. I would insist more and more on leaders, because the place of an elder is not of age, but it's the person who is respected for the responsibility that he has over the people. And these people need to start creating the fireside storytelling spaces where even CEOs, companies interested in regeneration can meet around these spaces and actually get to feel each other. As I see us in the room, there is a lot of warmth in our heart, but because of these boxes in which we are separated, I only feel cold data. If we are going to make anything, there must be some warmth in it. Otherwise, the children will tear it down just to feel the warmth. Thank you very much for the project team that has worked so far, giving space for elders to express themselves and not the elites or the self-appointed leaders placed by government to talk in the place of indigenous people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Konkanko. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I'm Sarah Kabatin from the Philippines, and I'm grateful to be with this amazing group. And we are going to go through a simple activity today, and it's still part of our Harvest Circle. And we are going to invite you to do it with us. And it's an activity that we would, I think we gave an instruction for bringing some materials with you. So I would just want to check in if people were able to bring some seeds with them, if you had water with you, and if you had coloring materials, a journal or paper. So just want to check a quick rounds in the group. Take out the spotlight so we can just see the gallery. I just want to check in if you have your materials. You can do a thumbs up. Oh, the spotlight didn't make it, sorry. And I just want to check, and if you don't have one, I guess you can think about a seed that maybe from a food that you like, or a food that has memory for you, or a food that a plant that you want to grow, or something that holds meaning for you. And so, and if you have a journal with you, you're also just, you don't even have to draw or do something creative. You can also just, what do you call this? Yeah, write, if that's fine as well. So we want to invite you in a participatory collective altar making, but out of the altar that you are working on for yourself. As in the start of the ceremony, you saw an altar made by our brothers and sisters from Colombia. I'm going to spotlight that. You can see this beautiful ritual space that they have created. So altars are one of the media that processes altar making and the forms of ways we part of our deep design practices that we've been harvesting. I will also show you a little bit about, I'll show you a sample also. In the past, I have worked with Babaylans, and we have, what do you call this? We have worked with, sorry, we worked with ritual spaces. So we used nature materials. So you don't even have to have like a drawing materials. You can even just find objects in your house that you feel, you know, if you had like a stone, or you have food, even you can even bring your food if in your part of the world. I think some of you are having breakfast or lunch, in my part, or dinner. I'll show you a little bit of, this is a ritual space I created for a Babaylan lecture ritual series in a university. And we had a Babaylan speak, but I was helping create a ritual space. This is made of salt and garlic and onion, which was integral to clearing and healing, and salt most especially. So we're gonna do not necessarily something like that, but we're going to invite you to imagine using your seeds. So for me right now, I'm working with cacao seeds given to me by a cacao ceremonialist from Guatemala who I met last year. And then I also have seeds from blue ternate, the flower. And then I also have these seed pods from jicama, which has memory for me with my mother. When she was pregnant with me, she would eat a lot of this jicama, and it hasn't popped out yet, but it is. I'm using it. So using your seeds, holding that with you, inviting you to think about the question. Our question would be, how does incorporating a conscious food system in your work, so whether you're running a course or training or an approach, a program working on food systems that you're designing or facilitating, look like to you? So we're gonna put that on the chat. How does incorporating, I'm gonna type that here. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Kim. So how does it look like to you? So if it were a drawing or writing, you can place words, you can use images. And then how would you incorporate the seeds in it? So since the seeds are more of like the representation of our connection to the sacred as part of the altar, you can either put it in the center, or you can spread it around, and just to establish this sacred space where you are creating it, whether it's on your table, on your keyboard. Just make sure the seeds don't fall on your keyboard cracks. So so that's an invitation for us all to do that. I just want to check if there are questions, and you can also ask that now, or forever hold your peace. No, I'm kidding. Or that we can just type as well the questions. And as we do this, we invite you to do it intentionally. We invite you to hold the spirit of the seeds that you're holding. Seeds as when you're dreaming, when you're making a dream, you're listening to a dream, you're creating in a dream, making it come true. You're also planting seeds that you don't know when it's gonna happen, when it's gonna sprout or fruit, but you're making an intention this way. So we will give you some time, maybe some music. I actually wasn't sure if, are we having live music from Colombia, or
Let me, yeah, can you hear that well now?
Yes.
Yes, great. And we will give you, how many minutes are we giving everyone? I think how many minutes do we have left? We can try and do it in 10 minutes, probably, and then see what we have by then. Thank you.
Ay, bomba, bomba, que yo quiero. Bomba, bomba, bomba. Bomberito quiero.
So taking that beautiful energy from this ceremony. Oh, sorry, my video was feeling that in your body and feeling that in your whole being, and looking at your vision on your own. And then maybe later we can share a little bit. I think we can harvest a little bit about what happened. So I'm passing this on to Margarita, so make sense of the process that we are so far. And Margarita, are you there? Or do you want me to with your sound, your voice?
Well, it's okay. And as part of our exercise, as you and many of you know, we have a call to practitioners that do design of courses or facilitate courses. When we do these kind of exercises, it's very important to go inside ourselves, and also the learning process that we have in our journey is about sharing, you know? So we have this methodology that is like the popcorn, or here we call it the fire, when we feel the fire to share. So maybe if you can just raise your hand in the screen or in the emotions, if any of you wants to share any insight from what we have experienced so far, from what we have shared in terms of the project, in terms of the ceremony, in terms of this harvest, this artistic harvest, the altar, the mandala, the role of the seeds. So to give a little bit of a space to hear from this circle that we are around the world, from this network that we are around the world. So I can see you all. I don't know how to, maybe Kim, you can help me to see if somebody is raising the hand. So if any of you wants to share what you have, an insight that you have experienced so far, and maybe as Sarah was inviting us to how we can apply this, or how you feel you could apply what we are sharing so far in the design of your courses, your events, your what you do in your life.
See, Charlotte's hand is raised. Charlotte,
please.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much for convening these spaces. What struck me so far in our time together is the power of song and of music and drumming. I'm so grateful, Sonita, to hear this gift you have and the music from Colombia. The power of also the prudence words, so the power of vibration of song. And I realized it's something I take for granted or certainly do not use. And I thought, wow, how to create more space for song when we're working with food systems. And the other big insight in this session, but also in a session we held on listening to the land with Kofsa in February, or my experience in the Oxford Real Farming Conference, is really the power of the heart energy, the devotion, you know, the gratitude. And I really appreciate that this is something I feel from all of you. And I've been wondering, when we provide spaces or training, how do we create this heart energy? And I think what Joshua shared about, you know, who's sharing the knowledge, how is it used, is so important, because the integrity, not, you know, tick the box rituals, or and maybe I come from a French culture, I'm quite uprooted as a person, but I do want to believe that I somehow, through my lineage or the land I'm standing on, I also have my own personal access to traditional wisdom. And how can each of us tap into a traditional wisdom that is passed on to us in the land we inhabit or the lineage we come from? Yeah, and finally, I think the energy of care that you're all putting into convening this space is a very, very important ingredient for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have also Heidi. You want to share with us?
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. For me, incorporating a conscious food system into my work involves thoughtful and intentional practices that prioritize sustainability, well-being, and ethical consideration. So what do I consider as that? For me, I think of like revitalizing traditional wisdom. What do I mean by this? That you promote traditional cultural practices and knowledge that align with regenerative food systems and ensure that you recognize and integrate indigenous wisdom into modern food practices. Then we ensure that the supply chain transformation has a continuous line. That is, to cultivate regenerative mindsets, the values and the skills within organization, and the drive supply chain transformation by emphasizing conscious food practices. Then when we talk about the conscious consumption, we should encourage adoption of healthier sustainability and locally sourced diet, strengthening traditional food cultures by valuing local ingredients and culinary heritage. So we remember that the context-specific and cultural relevant intervention are very, very essential. Respect, equity, and awareness of power dynamics should guide this effort. So by integrating, integrating evidence-based consciousness approaches and practices, we can transform systems for the better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Heidi, you're from Cameroon. Where are you?
Yes, I'm connecting from Cameroon.
Thank you very much. So we are weaving some voices from the north, from France background, from Kofsa with the voices of Charlotte. We hear from Cameroon, Haiti, and now let me introduce Sally, who also wants to share, but is such an important pillar of the work we are doing, and from the work that they do in Gaia Education. And maybe Sally, you can also tell us where you're talking from. Where are you based now? Thank you.
Thanks, Margarita, and thank you so much for such a beautiful meeting. It's lovely to be here. I'm coming from Gaia Education has brought our office back to Fintorn Eco Village in Scotland, so I'm here now. And we are in a social enterprise hub that's been built here called the Hive. And I think everything that you're talking about is just so resonant with what Fintorn Eco Village and the eco villages of the world, especially needed in places like in Scotland, where I live, is all about how do we reconnect to our bioregion, to where we are in our personal place and our place of personal stewardship, rather than talking in terms of something out there that's in our rational mind that we have to do. And everything that you've been demonstrating with your songs and the drumming and the bringing ourselves present to where we are right now and connecting to our hearts where we are right now is just such a poignant way of expressing the journey that I feel we're on here in Scotland. And so the bits that I was bringing with me that you're bringing so present are the food growing aspect is so completely interconnected to our culture and enriching ourselves and loving ourselves in our place and creating celebration and respecting our elders and bringing in rites of passage for our young people, because all of these things bring our locality alive, and we reconnect with each other, and then we manage the land so in a totally different way to the current main paradigm of the way food is produced. And just that interconnection, I think you've woven that in so beautifully without even needing to talk about it so much. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Sally. And help me to, well, I want also to give thanks to our beautiful Letty Rigatti, that is in this moment and her enterprise Girasoles doing a graphic harvesting of what we're talking about. So a very big part of this effort is also how to put these words, these experiences in images that can talk to us more than words, or accompany with words, to have images, to have songs, other resources that we know we use to learn, to incorporate, to embrace knowledge. So also I want to thank Letty, that many of you know, for this gift that she's giving to us. I don't see more hands. I want also to maybe hear from Prudence or Damaris if they want to share something before we go to the actual harvest of these 6 months that we have been working in the Ubuntu-Kapwa project. But before we go to that specific harvest that we have, if there is any other words, maybe from Cameroon or from anyone else, then we will have another time to share. Kate?
I would like to share about food preservation on what I have learned as far as this project is concerned. I have learned a lot on how to respect nature and connect with nature through food preservation. If you look at the modern world today, they commonly use plates. But during our project demonstration, we used natural plantain leaves in preserving our food. Plantain leaf comes from nature. It's a natural leaf that doesn't have any artificials. It doesn't go through any industry or any process of transformation. So I see it as an important process, and thanking the KUFSA UNDP community for giving us this opportunity to practice food conscious systems through preservations, eating, and the connecting back with nature. Because I believe that when nature blesses you, you turn and respect nature, nature will keep on blessing you. We should not ignore nature. We should always respect nature and keep on connecting, and surely nature will keep us strong, healthy, and keep on blessing our lands to be fertile soil, and blessing our communities also with more harvest and fruitfulness, so that the world can never lack, because it is from nature that we feed the entire world. Without nature blessing us with good harvest, the world will die of hunger. The world will have no food to eat. So I encourage the world today to respect nature. That which nature gives to you, give it back to nature through food preservation, food eating, food honoring, and many others. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. And now we want to give the word to Kate as our last voice in this harvest.
Margarita. To be honest with you, I think I shared everything in the chat. Thank you though for giving me the opportunity to talk. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And we give the word to Sarah.
Great. Thank you so much for the beautiful sharing of your visions and the process so far. I like how Sally was saying, like, less of the words of what's happening, but actually we experience it in the ways of song and ritual and the ceremony. But we will eventually explain to you the process so far. And it's thank you for just journeying with us along the way. And we're gonna be sharing with you our harvest from what we have learned from this journey. And I'm having goosebumps because I have a feeling I'm having a deja vu because I've probably done this already before. But anyway, I just had that like a few seconds ago. So we are really inspired to share with you how our journey went the last 4 or 5 months, and we'd love to, of course, later on invite you to share what you have seen and what your experience is. I'm gonna share my screen. So this is our journey on developing a deep design approach to conscious food systems at the edges. Just to recap, we use Ubuntu because it's the spirit of at least the ease. I wouldn't know if it's the dominant or easiest because it's not the right approach to refer to it as an African wisdom, but it is somehow similar to how we see Kapwa as a shared self in the Philippines and Ubuntu being the I am because you are worldview. And that also in Colombia, the Afro-Colombian heritage have also been imbibing that spirit of Ubuntu. So that's why we use these terms to offer the worldviews of shared, of kinship and relationship that people from the global south, like our countries that are piloting, prototyping this design. In the opening we did last year, we invited you to see that our intention was to go through these stages of listening, honoring, dreaming, offering, learning, and celebrating. It's our design thinking approach or design being approach because most of us are regenerative designers and we've been working closely with indigenous worldviews. We felt like journeying with the same process of it's somehow like a hero's journey or heroine's journey, but more from like what is it that calls me to help remember and help heal and help regenerate our ecosystems, our communities, and then in every stage since last year we had a more formal onboarding like contracting, getting the funds in, and we officially started. Well, we were starting already, but more of our generating of experiences and activities started in January. And every month we worked with harvesting at least. It's not a linear process as we learned, and I will share with you where we are now since we started. So we have been seeing that it's not a linear process. As like a tree, it has a cycle. It's not like also the tree is not just go from the ground up, but we wanted to show that it's not from left to right, but rather rooted from the wisdom of the place, rooted from your inner self, your intuition, and something that is not seen. And it's often wisdom is coming from the unseen parts, whether it's from the worldview of the kinship with nature spirits or ancestors who are not present physically, or there's that sense of it still in that realm of the unseen. And the journey of listening to what is being called of us, what is our intention setting, and then honoring is what is already in the place, what's the knowledge, the wisdom, who are the people holding that wisdom, and what is how do we acknowledge that? And in our language, it's honoring, a way of honoring instead of just acknowledging. It's a much more higher way of reverence. And then we also, in the process of after honoring, is we bring it into our higher intention. Now we dream, and that dream is somehow like I read somewhere that this between the seen and unseen parts of the tree is actually like the belly button of the tree. Like some seers say that it's like interesting to put the dreaming is when that it's still partially submerged, but it's also emerging, and we're seeing it as a time where we are making our wider and intentions now, knowing what is, after having listened what is being called of us to make as a project or a program or a training in a community or in a landscape. And then from that dreaming, which you also experienced today as a small way of visioning, and earlier you did the honoring by the ritual together, and also acknowledging the partners and the people of this project. We now work with the offering. We now make an offering. We promote our workshop out there. We offer it to the community. We offer it to the land. We offer it to whoever we're intending to bring to give birth this project to, or program or course. And the learning part is, of course, essential, no? As we are also promoting learning in our approach on eco-village design or our conscious food systems. And we're trying to also, at the same time, we're generating learning along the way. So in a more adaptive action learning activities. So offering and learning as like an action reflection process. And then we added celebrating because we're inspired that many of the cultures have these ceremonies and rites of passages that really also generate this spirit of gratitude. When you're harvesting, we're offering food as a way to celebrate. We dance, we play music to acknowledge that something good has happened, and that we don't do a full stop after learning. And then lastly, we added this one. In the first part, we didn't see this, but in the end, the whole journey was also our own self-reflection of embodying. Like, what are we learning on how do we apply this and live it? And this is, for me, the spirit of the movements we're working with, the regenerative movement. We think of nature as ourselves. You're not just talking with nature and working with nature, but acknowledging that we are nature as well, and that whatever we are in kinship with nature is also us, and that embodying is an application. We were debating whether it's applying, or we'd rather use embodying as a way to show that whatever we have learned, we actually live it. So that's currently the journey. It can change, but right now this is what we've learned. As part of the Conscious Food Systems Alliance, we're working on the transformation of consciousness. So we work with the integral theory that is inspired by Eastern philosophy, integral theory by Ken Wilber, but it's drawn from the Buddhist tradition, and this working with inner, outer, personal, and collective. We also added intangible from the inner and the outer, more tangible aspects. We also reflected on our own inner changes over time, primarily as a team, as ourselves. We have also, so collectively, we have looked into certain pathways. Before I share that, I actually want to show you the rough notes, because it will show you the diversity of, but also the commonality of the knowledge, the wisdom that we have experienced together. And I want to share this with you. Like, we really looked into the head, hearts, and hands, like what are the key messages, what are the media used, the processes applied. And from this collective harvesting, we really we now went into this this map currently. Wait, one second, I'm trying to find that slide here. Are you seeing it? So currently, the patterns that we have woven are the practices of a deep design approach, hosting ritual and ceremony to establish kinship and relationship. We also held festivities, art, music, dance, and other creative expressions. We worked with narrative sharing, exchange, and weaving. We work with documentation of food waste and traditional ecological knowledge. And then the promotion of biocultural heritage in food growing, preparation, and consumption. Of course, we had an opening ceremony, and we had a lot of this wisdom that we shared to social media. And we just wanted to really appreciation for the team behind this. This is Kin from Vietnam and Kajal They have been working very, very closely with us in harvesting and promoting things on social media. And with that, actually, I'm going to switch to the next slide to show you one of the ways they harvested the journey as well with us using social media. So I'm going to move to the next slide. 1 second. Let me switch to another slideshow. Okay, so the way we have, oh, sorry, it went through. Okay, great. So later on, we'll ask Kajal and Kin to show their faces, but since I switched here, so just to continue the flow, we have journeyed with 3 countries, as we have introduced earlier, and these were the activities they've done, and I'm inviting Damaris, if you're there, or you can speak, if not, Sunita or Prudence, to share a little bit about the 3 main activities you did as part of the project. And while I share the screen so that the people can see the flow, is that okay? Or
I think it would be nice for Damaris to share. Is she there?
Are you there, Damaris? Or is your internet okay?
We have 2 case studies from Better World Cameroon. The case study was our indigenous milk known as Achu. Achu is an indigenous milk from the Bafut Kingdom, which nourishes the body, empowers us with more strength as humans. Why? Because this Achu is made out of cocoyams with a mixture of unripe plantains. We have the yellow soup sauce, which is made up of the palm oil and other natural ingredients, being accompanied with vegetables, chili, cow skin, mushroom, garden egg, and many others. From this combination, it brings out a balanced diet, which indicates the food consciousness on how we eat food. We don't just eat food for eating sake, but we eat food which can keep us healthy, because we see food as an imperative need for the body to grow balanced and healthy. Also, we have the practices of using the natural leaves, plantain leaves, in preserving our achu, which is still another way of connecting with nature. Having this practice of connecting with nature, we connect with nature also through togetherness, when people share from a common plate of food, as demonstrated on the picture. You can see different indigenous elders, but eating from a single plate of food, which empowers us with the knowledge of unity, which empowers us with the knowledge of togetherness, which empowers us with the knowledge for love to live. Because if there is no love, we will not accept to come together as one, gather and eat in one place. All this indigenous wisdom was being shared and handed over to us by our indigenous elders to keep on practicing and connecting with nature. Also, by doing this, we share out, because we believe in the sharing concept, that those that share never lack. Givers never lack. When you give, nature turns to bless you more. So we always practice sharing with the poor, the less privileged, and that is how the land of the Bafut Kingdom has been highly blessed. The king himself, King Abubi II, the king of the Bafut Kingdom, also recognizes the leadership of the younger generation and women in the community, hereby performing traditional rites of handing over leadership and authority to the younger generation. because we believe in the leadership of handing over. If their ancestors did not hand over to them as indigenous elders, today they wouldn't have had one to hand over to us as youth. Through this, we know that we share knowledge. As we all know, knowledge is profitable. Without sharing knowledge to meet with the needful purpose, or without sharing wisdom to meet with the needful purpose, it cannot be called wisdom or knowledge. It is only being called wisdom or knowledge when it is shared with the younger generation, just as their ancestors did with them. And also, we draw more closer to our indigenous elders who give us wisdom of blessings through practices such as drinking from the traditional horns made out of cattle horns, which is still connecting with nature. We have other indigenous elders on the picture also demonstrating on how kingship salutation is being performed in the Bafood kingdom, because we respect our kings since they are the leaders bridging the gap between our ancestors, the spiritual world, and the land of the living. We respect them by the way we greet them, by bending down with hand clasps. We connect also with nature, because we know when we respect our indigenous elders, they offer us prayers of peace, prayers of blessings, and many others that intend to help us, because we know how important the blessings of a mother or a father is to the young generation or a child. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Prudence. I'm gonna call Damaris. If your internet is good, would you like to share the journey that happened so far? How you went, the activities that you've done.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So far, the journey has been an amazing one, working with the team from Cameroon, Colombia, and the Philippines. And in our experiences on the project, the first thing as a youth is the call for the youth to engage in indigenous practices that connect us with nature, because we are so surrounded by a lot of technology, we are so surrounded by the business of the nature around us that we forget sometimes that there's supposed to be peace and quiet and that love for nature connecting us together. So through this project, with the music and the dancing in the activities that we carried out in the Kingdom of Bafood, we danced and we sang and we played our drums and other natural instruments to call on our ancestors to bless us. We call on our ancestors to provide us with more energy to be able to connect with nature. We call on our ancestors to keep us together in unity and love. And we call on our ancestors to guide us so that we can share in our communities, especially as we are in crisis areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris. So I guess we can just show, anyway, you see it in the screen, the journey that they've done so far, the opening ceremony with us, and then the stakeholder engagement, and then they have this webinar, Seeding the Future. And if you see in the photos, they've had several activities and events to show the wisdom of the food traditions they just showed now. Thank you, Better World Cameroon. I'm gonna pass it on. I think there's another slide and it shows, like, so Princess Prudence worked with that Better World Cameroon. And this is a little bit of a description of the food festival that they did on the rites of passage that we will talk a little bit about later when we showcase some of the harvest from Better World Cameroon. Anything to add, Sunita, about this?
It was already beautifully said. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. Great, so we go to Colombia next, and I don't know if the sound, I know Margarita has been having challenge with her voice. Margarita, would you like us to read it out, or are you open to share, or would let you speak about the Call of the Mountain as part of the CASA?
We can do it. We can do
Okay,
it. Let's hope that I don't cough that much.
okay.
Yeah, well, maybe just to share that it has been an opportunity for many processes that are happening in Colombia and even in Latin America to get together and to know that we can share more. The Call of the Mountain is a gathering that is of the eco-villages and sustainable settlements of Colombia. And inside that, so one of our learnings is to use the events, the gatherings that we already have in our places and incorporate the issue, the theme, the invitation to talk about conscious food systems, to really take advantage of the moments that we are preparing the food, that many places are harvesting their crops. So each of those activities relating to food can give us opportunities to go deep into the consciousness of how we incorporate that in every opportunity that we have. So this is one invitation that we harvest from putting this more clearly, more with an intention into the Call of the Mountain. And then we have the opportunity to visit other places, to do a workshop during the Call of the Mountain with the assistants, and then travel to some of the places and see the best practices that they were having, but also the challenges to incorporate this. So we have a big challenge that is climate change, at the poly crisis that we're having around the world, and how these communities and these centers of trainings are dealing with it. And then the conflict and the violent situations that we're having that doesn't allow, for example, food to travel from one place to the other, or even cases where people start just growing illicit crops. The coca is a secret plant for us, but we have a problem around all the issue of narco traffic and war inside the country. So many of these communities have those challenges, and we are incorporating them into these study cases also to raise their voices and raise what they are doing to deal with it, and how much of it is related to the ancestral knowledge, to the traditional knowledge. So we have the opportunity to work with elders from Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Mamo Juan from the Aruaco community, with wisdom keepers in Putumayo in the project of La Realidad, of Viracocha in San Agustin, and Abuela Daira from Tumaco, from the Choco region, and here in Ubuntu in the Caribbean. Just a summary, and we will share more in our materials. So one thing I wanted to mention, as my little daughter was here, is the need of incorporating children, and other beings. So to create spaces to hear from the elders, but also to hear from our children, and to hear from the trees, to hear from the river, to do reading our landscapes. And the traditional wisdom give us many tools to learn how to listen and to learn from other beings, other elements, and all the generations in our communities. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Margarita. And then in this slide, you would see like where it's more nested. This activity is part of a wider intention of the Colombian people, and with their network. And the Call of the Mountain was kind of like a way to bring them together and go into this where the activity from the incubator was shared. Thank you so much, Margarita. Okay, so for the Philippines, and I forgot to put the opening circle here, but here in the Philippines, we did a series of activities. We called it a deep dive because we used this opportunity to work with the incubator to invite the stakeholders of Cebu, particularly, where we have been working on a landscape restoration regeneration lab that has been doing a learning journey across 20 to 30 organizations, working with farmers, fisher folk, university students, marine and coastal resource management. And we did a story circle with the indigenous elders, and that were not part of Cebu, because Cebu was a place that it's one of the first Spanish settlements in the country, and most of our pre-colonial heritage has been wiped out. So when we brought in the indigenous elders from other parts of the country, there was this deep remembering of the pre-colonial tradition, and it's very much rooted in food, restoring that. So we brought through this process, something unplanned happened. We ended up restoring the story of the Mananampits, the like the opening earlier you heard from Babaylan. Mananampit is somehow similar. He or she is the one that is in charge of the ritual of preparing this food offering to the nature spirits and the ancestors of the land before growing food and when harvesting food. And this has been lost in the island, and in some ways it's hidden. There was only a few practicing already, and we ended up reviving it in this whole activity. We also added a story circle because my organization, Green Relief, and we work with Green Relief for this project with the survivors of climate and conflict impacts in the Philippines. And we work with them through permaculture, but we also source their traditional ecological knowledge during the pandemic, when we developed food systems for an indigenous community, or when it was part of an ISIS siege, and we work with food to help the Meronao people recover from the trauma of the war. And we also work with Kalinga people, the indigenous peoples of Kalinga, after the typhoon, and also addressing the GMO rapid GMO corn sprawl in their landscapes, which is the second form of disaster. And we work with food systems as well in addressing that. And because we were developing a learning site for emergency food systems in Cebu through the Mamuno lab, the lab for deep scaling regeneration in the Philippines, which we're piloting in this island. This traditional and ecological knowledge that was sourced through the activity was a source of deeper inspiration. It reinvigorated the energy of the landscape stakeholders. We also, in some ways, we couldn't connect deeper apart from just the heritage crop story of this landscape, because we have lost our sacred practices that are before the Christianity came. So this way, this halad ceremony that we did offer that kind of healing and the narratives that have been shared. So far, that's our journey. But I'm gonna bring you to, I just want to show first Kajal and Kin, because they have been the people behind this harvest, the visual harvesting that have been shared on social media. And I don't know if you want to show your faces, and I think you know Kin from the start, and then also, but you haven't seen Kajal because she's been working really hard to make this visual happen for us. And just to quickly show you guys, and if Kajal's not there. For Kin, also you can see Kin, and we're going to spotlight Kin and Kajal. I don't know how to do that really quick before I switch to the next part. Do you want to say anything about the harvest?
Thanks, Sarah. Kaja is in the call. She's just not having her video on. I think there's a lot to harvest. There's so much richness in all of the different activities that were done in 3 countries. So the number of materials or informations that we can put in these graphics are just a small part of what we have available. So we're still working on more sharing materials so that we can share more with people who are interested in journeying with us. So yeah, more to come. And I don't know if Kaja is there and want to say something.
In case, we're going to ask you to unmute, Kajal. If not, oh, there you are. Are you muted?
Sorry, for some reason, the ones you asked me to show my face, this thing is glitching and I can't see anyone. But yeah, it was a great process, and I'm just really glad to be a part of it and learn about the similarities we all have in our food systems. And thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. We're gonna show the harvest now of what we have harvested. We're gonna show the harvest of what we've harvested. But we're gonna go back to this and show you briefly the patterns of this pathways, the practices. So I think I mentioned that earlier: hosting ritual, holding festivities, narratives, documentation, promotion of bicultural heritage. We unfortunately we weren't able to create a final presentation for this, but we have mapped out some patterns. So some of it looks like ceremony with the elders and wisdom keepers. So we have the halal food offerings, creation of altars with in Colombia, the rituals to remember the spirit. In this one I don't know how to pronounce, and Sunita, Joshua, you can help me. Dani-4, the rite of passage that they have, and then altar making. So like in Colombia, the altars as you saw earlier. We also did a co-creation of ritual spaces in the Philippines. And then we also looked into expressions of reciprocity, like the payments, pagamento in Colombia. We also, halal offerings is part of like gratitude payment for a good harvest. We also work with the healing of colonization. And we went to a basilica to actually pay homage to the lost traditions after Spanish colonization. And then holding festivities. So in Colombia, they had this Realidad. Maybe Margarita, you can speak a little bit about it, really quick, because it's in Spanish, so I realized I couldn't translate that myself. The reality, and then also music and dance. As you've seen a lot of music from Colombia, as well as Cameroon. You've heard Sunita with her beautiful voice and spirit through that. And then there was this reflective activities. We also went, so for that, those are just some examples. So we'll expound that in a guidance document we're developing. So you'll read more about it. We also looked into the promotion of biocultural heritage in food growing, preparation, and consumption. So we also saw, like, even in the planning and design, so the site visits and doing a ritual before doing something in the land, identifying the plants, sharing plant knowledge. We also look into food preparation. So we work with the Arc of Taste from the Slow Food. Work with the food preparation between wisdom keepers and organizers. So it's part of that too. It's not just the event, but you are cooking together with the elders, and a lot of wisdom has been shared. The beautiful biocultural calendar is from Colombia to look at the connection of elements in the frame of the calendar. In the consumption part, they're sharing traditional meals in Cameroon, showing involvement of natural processes in food preparation. The production parts are growing, which we like the word growing compared to production, but since it's a more understandable language, is the planting, the seed banks promotion, creation of regeneration of soil, and working with that knowledge, and then on seed saving. So right now, after this event, we were able to engage a biodynamic seed production company that's very interested in indigenous rituals for seeds. So it was very beautiful that came after, and we're now in conversation with them, and that weaving with indigenous elders was made possible to generate that information. Seed preservation and seed banks in Colombia, giving seeds as presents and gifts. And then I think there was, so that's food growing and production that should come before consumption, but anyway. We have the documentation of food waste and traditional knowledge. So documentation is key part in the process. And I don't know where the output here went. Oh, there it is. So video and photo documentation, we did that in the Philippines. We're working with recorded some of this in Cameroon as well. They did a lot of videos. You've probably seen some of them from the COPSA team. We've sent a beautiful video from Cameroon with a very, very eloquent description from Prudence in the background. And then we had interviews. So Cameroon and the Philippines also did that. And the narrative sharing, exchange, and weaving. So what also showed up in our process is, there it is, a facilitated storytelling and exchange. So open space, talking around the fire in Colombia. We had a story circle with university partners in the Philippines. In Colombia, there's a strong, in Colombia and Latin and Cameroon, strong sharing. And again, from Colombia, do you want to translate this? Margarita Mingamano cambiada uramba convenias la enramada. You're there. If not, so we can type it later. And then we were also, like you said earlier, the spirit of NAD4 is the engagement of youth. Also, there it is from Cameroon. And then the decolonizing process, reflecting on the colonization of thoughts in Colombia as part of this process of narrative sharing, exchange, and weaving. I think we've covered so far what we have generated, and we will definitely refine this further in a guidance document, which will be one of the main outputs of this incubator project. So I'm going to wrap up there because there was a lot, but really grateful for your listening and witnessing to our journey. I'm going to pass it on to Sunita, I think, who will lead us to the next activity. We just came from the learning part of our session, so we want to now process this learning together with you.
Yeah, and thank you so much. It's already been almost 2 hours now, and we actually plan to do a really deep, processing learning with you. But I think it feels like when I was going to school, there's always this time when there is a homework, that's not my thoughts. And so I think it won't hurt if we have something to think about when we are done with the call and actually reflect on our own. So instead of going into that here in the room, I would give an invitation for us to look into these 3 questions that Kin would put for us in the chat, and these we would reflect, of course, after the call. And rather would be really lovely to hear from you after all that Sarah has shared from the harvest, but also shared by Margarita and Prudence and Damaris. Do you have questions or any insights? We are just a few minutes to the end of our time, and it would be great to hear from you if there are 2 or 3 people that have something to share. And we've been singing a lot today. So yeah, I see Charlotte has her hand raised, and this is also an invitation if someone would like to sing a song or do something from their culture for us as we close. So over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Sunita. I'm not sure I will dare sing a song, but I just wanted to thank you so much. This is really so rich, and I want to invite all of you, if you can, to join us next Wednesday, 27th of March, to a COPSA event on farmers' well-being, where we're looking at what can support farmers' psychological resilience and well-being. And I think all of that you shared shows that traditional wisdom has a lot to bring to the fore in a time where many farmers are suffering. And actually, Sarah will be hosting a conversation in one of the groups on this topic. And so if you're all welcome, I'll stick the registration link in the chat. And I think you've shown us beautiful ways of interweaving this traditional wisdom into all that we do. Thank you. And the other thing is in half an hour, we'll be having an event on cultivating joy because today is the International Day of Happiness. So if you want to hear a testimonial about how we can put more joy in food when we harvest it or cultivate it and cook it, and we'll even do yoga, laughter yoga or yoga laughter. So I'll pop the 2 links in the chat, and thank you so much for everything you've shared. It's been very generous. Thank you.
Thank you. And Diogo.
Hi, hello. Thank you so much for this meeting. It was wonderful to hear voices from so many different places. I wasn't in the beginning. I mean, I know it's ending of a cycle. I wasn't aware. I just was told by a friend about this gathering, and I felt like participating. I love the way, the depth, and all this sharing. And I just want to let you all know that it would be great to meet again and keep the conversation flowing and sharing each other's agendas. So thank you so much. And I just want to present this organization, Agroforest DAO. It's a digital organization created to support food forest stewardship. So I hope we can meet again and share even more. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are really at the end of the time, so I would really invite you now to make it very short. So over to you.
I'll make it very brief. I just wanted to appreciate how I think for me coming here and working a lot with ecosystem restoration and agriculture and community and all that, but specifically I think framing it from this understanding of food systems, and I think how in that process I think a lot of the connections that we're trying to restore, whether it was in community, whether it's the land, whether it's with our environment, could actually be framed in a different way. And I think that kind of connection could be cultivated. Was quite interesting for me. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So, and Prudence would give us a closing song. And before that, I invite the energies of the north, of the south, the east, and the west to nourish us, to be with us, to bring joy into our lives, to nourish the food we will eat today and the next, and all the harvest we're having. So thank you so much for being here and for accompanying us. And over to you, Prudence.
Okay, better an indigenous presentation to round up this ceremony, because we believe that music is a moment of celebration, and after a successful project, there is a need for the world, UNDP, CUSA, Philippines, and Colombia to celebrate through music, our indigenous music. Oh.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much and blessings.
Thank you, everyone. And according to Letty, she will share a graphic recording of this event sometime. We will send it to you through email. Thank you, Letty.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Blessings.
Go well, everyone.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everyone.
For the ones who wants to say a little